Let me tell you a story. Okay, that's the perfect hook because people are hardwired to get into stories. And this plays into a video I did a little while ago where I was talking about the problem with social media and the fact that everyone is creating tons of content. Now, as more and more people create content and all these people are creating content, they're not even getting paid for it, but they're still creating content, then it creates this glut of information on the internet. And how do you stand out for that? I think that with AI, we're going to have even more content coming out, and that's just a fact. But you need to stand out with better stories. And that's why I am really excited about this. So I just found out about this today. I'm going to test drive it today, but basically Katalist allows you to create visual stories like a storyboard with consistent characters using generative AI. Now, consistent characters is a big one. Okay, this means the character looks very similar or looks exactly the same from one scene to the next scene. So it's locked in that character. And this is really cool because it basically creates this like storyboard. And I've watched a few videos on it, so I know how it works. And basically what you can do is you can create a character and then you basically will prompt what happens in the story. And it's going to create this storyboard for you, much like on the screen. And then you can adjust each scene. You can adjust the characters in the scene. You can put a prop in their hands. So this is great for ads. So you could have a character using a certain product or things like that. So it goes from the script to storyboard in one click. And I think this is important for all creators because look, as the content becomes more and more, then it's going to be the ones that storyboard it out, have a good story that stand out. And this is important not only for brands, not only for companies that want to map out their character arc, but also for people that just want to put out TikToks and have better stories. So I can see a whole range of uses for this. This is going to be also great for people that want to do faceless YouTube channels. And I've got a course on that. But what's really cool about that is this allows you to create characters and then overlay almost like a cartoon. And I can see that this in the right hands can create just a phenomenal story-based channel that's all unique very quickly. So you can cast these AI characters into the stories, right? And you can basically have different characters that are in. Once you've generated the story, you could swap them out. So instead of the Asian kid, it could be someone else. It could be this guy, Carlos, and in that whole thing. So you can see how this works. It maps out this whole thing. So this is great if you want to plan like a larger film, a short film. But I think that a big use case for this is just, they're using examples of like film, right? This on the screen, this looks if you were planning out a film. And I think that's great. Think of that. If your kids started planning out stories now, that would just be awesome, okay, for their creativity and just the possibilities of really making AI into something very useful. Because I think at the end of the day, that's one of the problems. What are you going to use for it? And so you can turn your script into a storyboard with one click, okay? And so you basically will write your script or import it. Say you've already got it from somewhere else, you can certainly use that, or it can generate it for you. It's going to automatically generate the visuals here for you. So it's going to break that into the different scenes and then create all these different visuals for it. And then you can tweak it just to get it right. You can put props, you can angle the characters, you can make them do different things. So if they're like watching a dragonfly, you can make them like wave at it. And I think that's really cool. Here's another example, right? So if you had the skill to storyboard out something, it takes a long time. Whereas in 1 minute, you can plan out this little thing and tell the story of these characters. And these characters can represent maybe a product you're trying to promote. It could represent anything, but it really makes a ton of sense. So you can upgrade your content with AI generated images that fit your story, right? So you can basically generate AI images and it's going to keep that same character and put them in different contexts. Look at this, it looks like a time travel thing, but it's just showing you how you can use the same character in completely different contexts. And it looks like the exact same actor. And that I think is huge because I think once the doors of this open up, then yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Here's the team. It's really cool. I'm a big fan of this and you can actually get started. Now, I did want to tell you that they've been on ProductHunt. And so basically, yeah, I'll just go through this. You can help it draft a script and then it will basically give you the different scenes, and you can change that, and you can change the characters. So you can swap out characters on the fly here, and you can map them out so they're standing in a different position and swap it out as well. So I think this is just totally a great tool with so many use cases. And there are free options with this. So I'll put a link in the description to do that. But this just came on AppSumo, and for $49, you can have this whole thing at a one-time price. And that just, to me, absolutely blows my mind. This is so cool. Okay, so what are the drawbacks of this? So one of the drawbacks of this is if you're only going to use this maybe one time to map out your character story, okay, I can see how that wouldn't be a great thing. But if you're creating content, you could always, this is a great way to see a whole story in a unique way as opposed to writing it yourself. Now, if you do have trouble coming up with stories, there is the Storyteller Tactics cards. These are quite expensive, but they're really good because it gives you the framework to actually create very unique story. And I think this combined with a Katalist Storytelling Studio is going to be a phenomenal combination. There's just so many possibilities and potentials with this. So I'm really excited with this. You can, as I said, swap out characters, use generative fill to fill out different things in the background, add props, all that kind of stuff. So they have just 3 tiers. So the first tier is 250 images per month. And keep in mind, when you export that, that would be like a few stories, right? Because if each story is 10 to 14 images, that sort of thing. So I think for most people, it makes the most case to do this. But I like this option because this really allows you, option 3, to collaborate in real time. So this is real-time collaboration. So you're not sending an email, going back, and this allows you to bring someone in. And I think for storytelling, they always do it in Hollywood. They have a writer's room where they collaborate on these things and they can give ideas. And I think that makes a lot of sense for some people. What's coming to this in terms of the roadmap is they're going to be able to, much like Sora, I'll put a link to my Sora video, but Sora is going to be able to generate the video from text, and that's coming to this. So they're moving in that direction. There's already a few services that do that, including Runway. But with Katalist Katalist Storytelling Studio, what it's going to be able to do is in the future, and you're going to be locked in here with this, is these are going to turn into video. So everything I said about storyboarding, that's going to be now also in video. And I think that is completely a game changer. So if you're interested in telling better stories, if you agree like me, that will help separate you from the competition, then check out Katalist Storytelling Studio. Now, for me personally, I'm not showing you the inside of my account. I'm still playing with it, but as you could probably hear from my voice, this is something that I'm pretty excited about, and I'm going to be using myself. So if you're interested in Katalist Storytelling Studio, use the link in the description. I'll also link to the storytelling cards that I think are very helpful. And if you think about this, is a great way to generate, let's say, emails in a very visual way for visual people that have trouble coming up with a new angle and things like that. So keep in mind, a lot of the stories on the page, there's like dinosaurs and dragons, and that's all great for creativity, but you can map these out to something else, something more in a business setting, if that's more your thing. Anyhow, I think this is fantastic for a lot of people. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video.